Hello everyone, welcome to another paper mache mask project overview. I will talk about days 3 to 4 in this project overview. Happy you're with me. Make sure you take notes so you know where you're headed. I'm going to go over 4 main steps. First, practice using acrylics to achieve different values. It's really important. Then we'll talk about why it's important to divide warm colors and cool colors into 2 separate work sessions. And then I'll go over how to add details after your acrylics have dried. Please stick with me and make sure you let me know if you have any questions. So let me know in the chat. But these are your steps. You could divide these steps into different chunks, different work sessions, as long as you clean your brushes thoroughly and you take care of the space that you're doing art with in between those different sessions. So make sure you organize your time wisely. As far as prior knowledge for all of my students, like thinking about where we've been so far with this project, where you should already be is you should be using the playlist, the paper mache project playlist, to kind of keep up with your project. Couple weeks ago, we already built the base layer of our project. That was with 8 different layers, 4 vertical, 4 horizontal. Then we use thinking maps to face our history and think about how we want to change. From those thinking maps, we went ahead and we designed color drafts. You should include within your color drafts metaphors related to a promise. That sophomore promise can change and can evolve based on like anything that you're learning in your history class and English class. We constructed metaphors, and I'm looking at some of the masks on Seesaw. I really recommend taking more risks by creating extensions in the mask, building things outward. And so now I'm going to talk about the first step. One of the assignments that we gave before painting the mask is to practice painting with acrylics because it's a different medium. So I know that this is super fast, but I noticed that I have a low count on the YouTube video. There is a video on the YouTube channel where we painted a color wheel, but I feel like the misconception is you were supposed to practice using different values, right? So check that out. Then you could paint a 2-dimensional version of your mask and plan out all your different colors, plan using different values before you paint the actual mask. Before you paint, organize your paints and sort them into warm and cool colors so you have a sense of what you're working on. Okay, the next step would be to start painting with lighter values, start painting with warmer colors. This is going to determine what paints that you put in the paint palette. You may want to draw on your mask with a pencil to kind of like plan your painting. And if your paper mache is dry, it should be dry, you can do that. I gave you an extra white cup because white is the color you're going to need the most. So you can have that at the side. And I would start putting in white right away. Now notice I'm making mistakes here and there. It's possible to just go over them with acrylic, which is so nice so you don't have to stress out. The one thing you should be concerned about is just making sure you're not leaving paint on the brushes and you're always taking care of brushes. But what I'm doing right now is I'm adding a lot of white to the mask, because that's kind of serves as an underpainting. And then I can kind of slowly work in light values and then go dark. Yellow and like warmer colors tend to have lighter values. So that's why I recommend doing those first. Again, all of these videos are available in real time. So make sure you're painting with me and checking out those videos because I do talk about what I'm doing. You can think about things like light source. Where is the light coming from? As you're adding in highlights, shadows, darker values. But ultimately, when you're painting the mask, you want to be mixing your paint and you want to have light and dark values, because in addition to creating a work of art about how you want to change, you're also showing me that you're exploring different painting techniques. Right? So, and you're also showing me that you can sculpt something 3D. So we're covering a lot of different grades and standards with this one project. So notice how I keep continuing to mix. I'm changing the direction of my brush. Notice that there are brushes sitting in water right there. Okay, here I paused, right? I was done with my work session and I took a break. And so I am rinsing everything. So that actually was sped up, but it took me a while. So give yourself time to make a break. Notice how I'm checking to see how much paint is in the brush by bending it back and forth and rinsing. In all of my videos with I try to include the importance of cleaning up. So I'm just rinsing, checking. So always check your brush. Next step in another work session, or it could be the same one, but you don't want to rush it. Paint cool colors and darker values. Okay, so we're kind of working with blues, and you still want some whites, and I added a little yellow there. Based on your color draft, you'll know what else you need to color. I'm also covering the base. Now, I could have done this in the opposite order. I could have painted the whole face and then done the eyes. I chose to go this route, so it's really, really up to you. I am including whiter, lighter values in the cheeks and the nose and the ears to show light, and I'm putting in darker values to show shadows underneath the eyes. Again, watch the full length video. Guys, I am not using black at all during any of this, right? Black is super powerful. I would recommend using your dark blue, but that's just it. Now notice how I have to paint all around it. Again, this is after the mask has dried, after all my add-ons have dried. So you have to rotate. Notice too that I put a cardboard box underneath, right? Because we don't want to get our parents mad. We don't get anyone mad. And I'm putting in all sorts of details all over the mask. I would recommend when it's dry, painting the back of the mask. If you paint the back of the mask, you can kind of get this expressionistic idea that inside of the mask is the cave. Because we remember we had that discussion that wearing a mask is like being in the cave, not knowing, being silent. So I recommend kind of having fun, taking a break, painting the backside. We will put our promises in here at a later video, but you could just kind of decorate it. Sophie was saying I want to put light to represent hope. So that was cool. Okay, another work session, you're going to use your tacky glue, or if we were in person, we would be using a glue gun, but the tacky glue, the brown tacky glue, to go ahead and put on decorations. You got all these cool mosaics. I would stop. I would organize them first into different piles. Now, this was a total experiment. I put a bunch of tacky glue inside of the salsa cup that was left over, and I started painting it on with one of the cheaper brushes that came with the acrylic. The tacky glue did hold, and it does dry clear. Okay, so that's something that you guys need to know. So you may be like, oh my gosh, it's so messy what she's doing. But I'm just putting a lot of layers of glue because I don't want the mosaics to fall off. I wanted to put a bunch of jewels in there to kind of show how important it is for us to share our voice and express ourselves. So these patterns, these mosaics can represent, trauma, a broken history, and then us bending towards the sun like Rita talks about. So just also thinking too, again, about how your promise is changing and evolving, just like a work of art evolves. I started to put a lot of glue on there because I didn't want it to fall. You could experiment with less. You totally could experiment with less. If you guys watch my videos a lot or in my class, I'm a pretty messy teacher. So I kept adding on patterns. It really helped to organize these. And then make sure you clean and maintain art supplies. So this is a cleanup video from this next work session. Again, we've gone through 3 work sessions. So make sure you're always stopping, you're organizing your art supplies, you're checking, making sure all the tubes are on, and you're checking your brushes. So what I'm doing right here is I am going through and I'm seeing, okay, how clean are my brushes? And I'm shaking. You don't want to leave paint on the brushes. Dump all the water in the dish bin, okay? Or in your sink. Miss Hibbler pointed out, use a paper towel on the palette to get all that extra paint out. And you got to really use the texture of your fingers to massage the palette and go ahead and swish around the different paint brushes. Rotate, shake. Again, dish soap is your friend, and then the paper towel, right? So just wipe out excess stuff. It doesn't need to be spick and span clean. It's fine. You just do the best that you can, but it's the brushes that I really, really care about. Oh my goodness. If you're still watching, technical difficulties, budget cuts, I need to get the school to buy me a camera holder. Okay, actually I do have one. I should have used that. Hi, we're still here and we're still massaging the brushes with my hands, right? So there's something about the texture in hands, and you stop, you check, and I actually go through, look, I'm painting my arm to make sure I got everything out. Okay, next step, please subscribe so you can stay organized with what's happening and keep practicing. My message to my students is finish this final project so you can like dial it back, and if you want to gain some extra points, you could do some of these other projects that you're missing. Thank you for watching. Namaste. Parents, please support your kids in doing art by giving them an open space. World, make sure you do art. It's so healthy for the soul. Namaste, everyone. Subscribe. That's what the YouTubers say.